أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون صدق الله العظيم. This surah is called Surah Al-Ma'un, which was revealed in Makkah Mukarramah, which means before Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's migration to Medina Munawwara. And in this surah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing some of the evils, or we should say some of unaccepted qualities of a believer. Unaccepted behaviors from believers and from mu'mineen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah really talked about two different groups of people. In the beginning He talked about kuffar, and then about munafiqeen, which is really also a group of kuffar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, have you seen the person who rejects the judgment? In the beginning of the ayah, alif, which is hamza really, means question, is for question. That have you, did you? Ra'a is to see. Ara'aita, have you seen? Alladhi, the one who Kazzaba yukazzibu. Kadhib, we all know, means to lie. Kadhib is lying. Yukazzibu, the one who rejects, who does not accept, who belies. Ad-Deen. This word Ad-Deen has many different meanings in the Arabic language. And we all know one of the meanings of Deen is religion. Ad-Deen al-Islam. The religion of al-Islam. And one of the meanings of ad-deen is judgment. And at this place, in this ayah, ad-deen is referring to the day of judgment. Just like in Surah Al-Fatiha we read, Maliki Yawmiddin. We all know the meaning of it is the honor of the day of judgment. Yawmiddin. Same word, ad-deen, judgment. So same thing here. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ Have you seen the one who rejects the judgment, does not believe that there will be a judgment? And of course that is a kafir. Because part of our iman is to believe on the day of judgment. Without believing on the day of judgment and on the judgment that will be taking place on that day, no one can be a mu'min. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a person who rejects the day of judgment, or who rejects the judgment, will have some signs that will prove that this person has no belief in the day of judgment. Of course, we all know that kafir is the one, disbeliever is the one who will reject the judgment, who will not believe on the day of judgment. But in spite of being Muslims, there are people who really in their heart have not firmly accepted that there will be a judgment. And once a person does not really believe from the depth of his heart in the judgment, that person will not be able to practice deen the way he's supposed to practice it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look into yourself and see if you have one of these things in you. One of the following things that are coming into the next ayahs, if you have one of these following behaviors, then there is lack of iman on the day of judgment. Then you really have to reconfirm and strengthen your iman on the day of judgment. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the person who rejects the day of judgment and he rejects the judgment of the day, فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, that is the person who pushes the orphan aside. That is the person who pushes the orphan aside. If we see in ourselves not caring for orphans, not having the importance of orphans, not fulfilling the needs of the orphans, it's because of the lack of iman on the day of judgment. Subhanallah, Quran al-Kareem touches each and every aqidah and tells us the signs of the weakness of that aqidah. We have different beliefs, but how can we judge ourselves whether I'm strong in this belief or not? These ayahs of Quran al-Kareem and different ayahs of Quran al-Kareem are really giving us the gauge to judge and to see the level of our iman in these different things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, a person who rejects the day of judgment or who rejects the judgment, فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, that is the person who pushes the orphan away. ذَلِكَ means that is the person, that is ذَلِكَ الْكِتَاب, that book. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي, that is the person who, الَّذِي who, يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, al-yatim is orphan. And da'a yadu'u means to push someone aside, to push someone away. Remember, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us anything in Quran al-Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not just giving us some specific situations, He's telling us some general situations and some signs of how things work. In this ayah, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that a person who does not believe on the judgment, who rejects the judgment, will have this quality, will have this behavior of pushing the orphans aside. What does orphan mean? Orphan simply means a person who does not have a father, which simply means that a person who rejects the judgment and does not have a firm belief on the judgment, that person will be hurting those who have no supporters. That person will try to misbehave with those who have no strong power behind them. Whenever this person will feel that I can do something wrong to this person will go ahead and do whatever wrong he can to those people. Because those people who do not care for orphans, they do not care for orphans because this is their mentality that no one is behind this person. There is no one to stand behind this person. So I can do whatever I want to this person. And this person will do this only if he has no belief in akhirah, no belief in the judgment, and he feels in this dunya I can hurt this person, I do whatever I want, and I won't be standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be judged for all of what I'm doing. Just like human beings, situation becomes just like animals in the jungle. The stronger will eat up the weak ones. And every strong animal, every strong beast that feels that he can hurt the other small animals will do it. There are some animals who are eating something. A strong beast goes over there and he feels that I want to eat this. He's going to push all of those animals away and will eat it himself. Same becomes the situation of a person who does not have iman, or at least firm iman, in the day of judgment. That person will do whatever he can in this life, will hurt people, will not care of people, because this is everything he has in mind, that if I can do it, let me do it, this is my benefit. He has no belief in akhirah. He does not remember akhirah, and his iman about the day of judgment and about the judgment is not strong. And truly believing, truly speaking, if we look into ourselves, most of the times when we are about to do something wrong, what stops us from doing it? Many times we have a power of doing something. We have all the strength and power to do something, to hurt someone. Especially if there is a person who might try to hurt us and you get a chance. At that time you might feel, no, I don't want to do it. What stops the person from hurting that person and from taking revenge at that point is only the remembrance of akhirah. That person remembers, one day I will be standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge me for all of this. So it's better to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while being oppressed in this life, instead of going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an oppressor. If he's doing something wrong, let him do it. And he's going to pay for it. But if I would do the same thing, then me and him on the day of judgment will be the same. And I will have to pay for what I'm doing. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to pay for nothing over there. I'm not ready to do that. So just let him go. And let him do whatever he has to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. A person who will reject the orphans, who will push away the orphans, that person does not have a strong belief on judgment. And same thing, a person who will see a weak person, a person who cannot do any harm to him, and he will try to harm the person however he can, that person really has no iman and no aqidah on ad-deen, on judgment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Have you seen the person who rejects the judgment? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. That is the person who pushes orphan aside. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. حَضَّ يَحُضُّ means to encourage. طعام means food. And al-miskin is poor. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He does not promote feeding the poor. He himself is not giving any charity. He himself is not giving any sadaqat. He himself is not giving the zakat either. But not to talk just about himself, he does not even like others to do the good deeds. Subhanallah. See what nifaq does to the person. That not only this person himself does not want to do right, he cannot even see others doing something right. And he wants to see others doing something wrong. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He does not promote feeding the poor. He does not encourage others to feed poor. There are few things, and really when we look into these ayahs, they are so deep and going really into the root of our problems. One of the things that we learn from this ayah is, even for those people who give the charity, who give sadaqat, yet they have one more responsibility, and that is the opposite of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rejecting in this. Which is, they need to encourage others also to give out. As we give out, at the same time, we need to encourage other people also to give out. And show other people the way, the path here, there is something here, you should give out for this way, for this cause. There is an orphan here, there is a poor person there is a need over there. So, not only giving, even encouraging others is part of our iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a person whose iman is not firm in akhirah on judgment, that is the person who la yahuddu ala ta'am al-miskin, does not encourage others to feed the poor. And feeding the poor, of course, is one type of good deed, which is spending out, giving out. So this person whose iman is not firm in the akhirah, not only that he does not give, he rejects, he does not like to see other people giving either. And not only giving, then it will continue to the other deeds. He does not perform the salah. He does not like other people to perform the salah. He does not, for example, clean the masjid. He does not like to see other people cleaning the masjid. So in every deed, this thing transfers. In every deed, this becomes a behavior of a person. As I said, Quran mentions some rules. And once a person gets used to few things, then this is a disease that will hurt every other thing, every other ibadah. One disease does not just hurt one ibadah, it will hurt all the other ibadahs. Just as a person who gets sick is not only that he won't like the rice, he won't like the meat either. He won't like the chicken either. So it's a disease that is affecting all the food that he's eating. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us of the same thing. So one of the signs of a person not having a strong iman in akhirah, and a person not believing firmly on judgment, is that this person does not promote good deeds. Simply Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us part of our iman, and one of the requirements of our aqa'id, our iman, is to promote the good deeds. Not only do it ourselves and just be quiet. We need to promote them. Talk to the people about them. What does Amr bil Ma'ruf means in the promoting good deeds? Telling people what's right. There is something good here, let's go ahead and do it. There is something good over there, let's go ahead and do it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَىٰ طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. A person who rejects the day of judgment, that's the person who does not promote feeding the poor people. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is specifically talking about munafiqeen. These were the signs of nifaq. And basically these are, the ayahs are directly to the kuffar. That a kafir who does not believe in akhirah has no reason of helping orphans and has no reason of promoting good deeds. And of course a believer whose iman is weak in akhirah, on the judgment, that person will not do this either. That person will not promote the good deeds either. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is directly mentioning some things about nifaq, some signs of nifaq, things that tell us, if God forbid, wal-iyazu billah, if we are carrying any nifaq in our heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Woe to those who perform their prayers, الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. While they are heedless to their prayer or absent-minded in their prayer. Fawayl. Wail, if you remember, we had a surah, وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. And at that time I mentioned some details about what is wail. When we translate it, translation says, woe to those. So wail means curse. Those people are cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned at that time, at the same time, wail is a name of a special place in the hellfire. There is a place in the hellfire that is called wail. And that place, as ahadith talk about that place of the hellfire, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the whole hellfire is a very bad place to be in, and worst destination of a human being. But if a person will go into wail in the hellfire, that's even worse than just being in the hellfire. That is a place where a person continuously, one of the big problems he will have there is getting thirsty. One of the punishments he will have in that place, wail, is getting thirsty. And as this person will get thirsty and getting burnt into the fire, his whole body is getting swollen. So he will bite himself to drink his own pus. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, as this person will drink his own pus, the whole mouth will get burned. And not only the mouth will get burned, as this person will drink it, everything from the stomach will come out of the body. That is wail. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, wail, woe to those. And at the same time as it is cursed, is that place too. That these people who are cursed for these deeds will go to that place. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Woe to those who perform the prayers. They are not rejecting the prayers. Ayah is not talking about those who reject the prayers. Who do their prayers, الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. But they are heedless to their prayer. What does sahun mean? Saha really means to make mistake. But this is not what this ayah means. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in different ahadith explains what does this as-sahun mean. As-sahun means heedless to the prayer, not paying attention to the prayer, means few things, not just one thing, few things. Number one, the person does not care about the timing of the prayer. That person does not care about the timing of the prayer. The time is running out. He says, I'll pray at Asr time. If Zohar time is running out, I'll do it with Asr. The time of Asr is running out, I'll do it with Maghrib. So has no importance of the timings of the prayer. Number two, this person has no importance of the prayer itself. Which means when this person misses a prayer, he does not feel guilty of himself and he does not feel that he has done something wrong. So doing a prayer is not very important to him, and this is why when he misses a prayer, he does not feel any burden on his shoulder. He does not feel that he has really done something wrong and does not feel guilty of doing that. So, sahun is a person who has no importance of the prayer, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another ayah of Quran al-Kareem explains this in a different way. When he's talking about munafiqeen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُم. Munafiqeen try to cheat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they will be cheated by themselves. وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى. When they get up for the prayer, قَامُوا كُسَالَى. They are very lazy. They're trying to finish the prayer as soon as possible. They're very lazy in their prayers. And before getting up for the prayer, it's so difficult to do the prayers, to get up for the prayer, and to start the salah. And as they will start the salah, they feel like finishing it as soon as possible and just be done with it quick, and I'm done with it. Qamu kusala. This is sahun. That the person is lazy for the prayers, is active for every other deed. Things that are very difficult, he's very active to those. But when it comes to salah, this person is very lazy. And here I must remind myself and all of us of a point that scholars have mentioned, that shaitan many times does not prevent the people from doing the salah by making them do some evil. Shaitan plays a very special game at this point. He makes the person do something good and gets the person involved in that good deed so he can miss the prayer. Because shaitan knows there is nothing more important than salah. So let him recite Quran, let him talk to people, let him visit the sick people, let him help someone else. He wants him to do one of those things. At least let him miss the prayer. Because he knows as he will miss the prayer, gradually he will get away from all the other deeds too. He knows the key of our iman is salah. As Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, the only barrier for a person to hold him from getting into a kufr is salah. بين الإسلام والمرء ترك الصلاة فمن تركها فقد كفر. A person who starts missing the salah, gradually he goes into kufr. This is how important the salah is. And shaitan makes us do some other good deeds, not an evil. He doesn't tell us go and sleep, keep on watching the TV or don't get up. No. He will remind us of some other good deeds, just for the person to miss the salah. Because he knows this is the key to iman, to hold our iman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in this ayah, وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى. This is the sign of nifaq, that a person when he gets up for salah, that person is very lazy to perform the salah. يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. They just show off with their prayers. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. And they remember Allah very little during their salah. Remember, when it comes to nifaq, when we talk about munafiqeen, for some reason we feel, just like when we talk about kuffar, about mushrikeen, same thing when we talk about munafiqeen, we might feel that we are talking about some other people, some other group of people there. But remember, starting from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, munafiqeen used to perform salah behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his masjid. And yet they were considered munafiqeen. There are signs of nifaq. And Quran again and again reminds us of those signs. So we have to be very careful. We have to look into ourselves. In Medina Munawwara, we all know Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul was there, who was the leader of munafiqeen. Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul. And he had his group. What was their objective? Main purpose was hurt Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Somehow prevent the message of Islam from spreading. And accordingly, they would always try to find faults in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Once, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was riding one of the, it might be a horse or a donkey. And as he was going, there were some people sitting there who were supposed to be mu'mineen, believers. There was a group of them. Majority of those people were munafiqeen. When the dust was flying from the animal stepping on the ground, one of those people said, he was holding his nose and turned his face away, and he said, look at him, bringing all the dust on us. So there was another Sahabi who was sitting there. He did not like this comment against Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he said, you know that he's a prophet of Allah. You shouldn't talk anything like that about him. So they started a big argument over there. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam heard it. And he knew that these people who are trying to find this fault and who are turning their face away, basically, even when the wind blows, they get the dust. And even when they themselves ride their horses, they get the dust also. But this is only to find a fault in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to find a way to talk against Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran al-Kareem says, لَإِن لَمْ يَنْتَهِ الْمُنَافِقُونَ وَالَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ وَالْمُرْجِفُونَ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ لَنُغْرِيَنَّكَ بِهِمْ ثُمَّ لَا يُجَاوِرُونَكَ فِيهَا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there is a group of munafiqeen in Medina Munawwara. All they are doing is, they are trying to spread nifaq. Spreading nifaq by preventing people from going to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from practicing deen. And murjifuna fil Madina. The second thing these people do is they keep on spreading rumors in Medina Munawwarah. وَالَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٍ. And these people carry a disease in their heart that does not allow them to have the perfect iman, to test the sweetness of iman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indicating and telling us some of these disease that we might have, wal-iyāzu billah, in our iman, and how to protect our iman, how to prevent our iman from getting lost, or from how to preserve the iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Woe to those who perform the prayer while they are absent-minded in their prayer. And as I said, sahun really in this ayah means, saha is driven from the word saha. Saha means to make mistake. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explains this as sahun as two things. Number one, the person has no importance of the salah. And number two, does not have any importance of the timings of the salah. Does not care about doing the salah in the proper time. And the another ayah of Quran al-Kareem explains that munafiqeen, those people who are heedless to their salah, in their salah, those people, whenever they perform the salah, they are very lazy. They get very lazy for performing the salah, and they are very active in doing everything else. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. Those who just show off. الَّذِينَ, those who يُرَاءُونَ. Ra'a is to show off, which means they do the good deeds only to let people know that I have any iman. And they are doing any of the ibadah, some of the ibadahs, just for their personal benefit in this world. They are not doing the ibadah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do the ibadah for their personal benefit. If I become the member of the masjid, these will be the benefits. It's not that I will be helping the house of Allah. I will become part of Muslim community where we will live as Muslims. And the purpose is not to perform the salah and to establish the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the masajid. The purpose is, these are the benefits I will get from this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. Those who show off. And showing off means that this person is trying to get some personal benefit through the ibadahs, through this deen, using deen for his benefit in this life. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And those are the people who reject the small contributions. مَنَعَ يَمْنَعُ means to reject. And al-ma'un. Al-ma'un means the very small things, just like salt. When any of your neighbors ask you for a little salt, no one will say, no, I don't want to give you a salt. Here, take some salt. One of the neighbors wants something, needs a screwdriver. Any person will say, okay, here, take it, use it and give it back to me. So there are some very minor things that every person will just pass it to other people for use. Our neighbor does not have water, we'll fill some water for them and give it to them, and we'll not say, I can't give you the water because we don't have enough water in our home. Normally, these are the things that normally people help each other with. And in every community, there are people that are normally, people understand. There is a common understanding that these things are very minor and anyone can ask. When you ask for it, you won't even consider it a beggar. It's not like you are begging someone. It's just very minor things. We are sitting together on a table, and someone needs a pen to write with. And says, can I borrow your pen for a minute? We know it commonly, any person will give his pen, okay, go ahead and write with it. So, there are things that we have a common understanding that these are things that we can just pass them to each other without any person feeling bad about giving it out. those things are called al-ma'un. And in this ayah, al-ma'un means zakat. So this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about munafiqeen, that they perform the salah, because salah has to be performed in jama'ah. So whenever they are with people, they go ahead and they perform the salah, because they have to show off. They have to show that they have iman. But when it comes to zakah, they try to prove that, or make people believe that, we are giving our zakah secretly. I'm doing all my other ibadahs too. So when it comes to zakah, yamna'un al-ma'un. They will reject the trivial things when it comes to zakah. Because he does not have to show off with that. There are some other things that he's showing off with, which simply means that a sign of nifaq is when it comes in public, the person will do the things just for his benefit, and when the person has to do it secretly, he will not do any good deed. This is sign of nifaq. And this is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in this ayah of Quran al-Kareem, what He told us in this surah, that what are some signs of nifaq and how can we protect ourselves from this nifaq. What are the unaccepted qualities by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a believer, and how can we perfect our iman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, looking back from the beginning of the surah, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, have you seen the person who rejects the judgment? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ That is the person who pushes the orphan away. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَىٰ طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ And does not encourage others to feed the poor people. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ Woe to those who perform the salah, الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ While they are absent-minded to their prayers, or they are heedless to their prayers. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ Those who show off and they reject the minor contributions. So these are some of the signs of nifaq, and this is how we really need to judge our iman and our souls, our aqaid, whether our iman is strong, whether these aqaid are really in our heart, or we just speak about them by our tongue and they are not getting into our heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the strong iman and perfect our iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us to Sirat al-Mustaqim and protect all of us against nifaq and all the signs of nifaq. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.